Fake news and police helicopter cover-ups for October 19th. At 11:36 a.m., the police helicopter flew left to right through the Copter pocket if you're looking across the street from my house, and he flew low, and then he crossed over closer towards the end of Solero Deseo intersection and crossed over 24092, making that part of his circle around the neighborhood that incorporates crossing over the transformer fire incident at 24092, and also all the area around Caladad and Falda and Deseo, where they've had many fake news events. And he darted across the street. So when he got up there, once he got around Solero Deseo, he darted across. So it was a speed cover-up, and also probably a variation of crossing over Holmes fast to cover up for the 11 p.m. incident where they mobbed over my roof and then tried to spotlight me down on Caladad and then chased me back to my house. So it's possibly a mix between the dart from the 24092 and also mobbing over my house, but it was a significant, purposeful, high-speed cross over the street. At 12:32 p.m., the police helicopter went right to left if you're looking across the street from my house. And if you're looking down the street from my house, so basically where he just crossed over, he came back the opposite direction almost an hour later, and he crossed by Solero Deseo intersection, and this time he was at about 50 to 60 feet of altitude, and he was going low. He was going really slow, like incredibly slow. And so the purpose for this was to cover up for how low that he was flying around in all the videos that I have of him harassing me, because the lower you get on someone's head, you're harassing them. That's what he's trying to do. So that's, first of all, that's psychotic. So basically, one of the points is that if they have an event where there's circles, they incorporate that area, the center point of the circles, into their regular routine. And so if you fly by it once on a straight line, then they're able to explain themselves out of that and say that, oh, well, on this incident, he dropped his sandwich, so he was on his line in his routine, and then he did circles, or he was taking a call or something. So that's why they flew by incredibly slow. So flying slow, their argument is also equivalent to doing power circles, because you're staying in the same area. And so that was one of the variations of cover-ups for the event down by 24092, the fake transformer fire and all the threats and cover-ups for flying around so low. And yeah, so that's why he went slow and low right in that area. And then he did a right turn and then a left U-turn, and he stayed at Deseo Falda, and that was to cover up for all the neurotic movements that they did down there when he chased me back to my house after the 11:30 p.m. incident when they tried to spotlight me, and then just all the other events down there. So there were odd turns, so it's like he was staying and hanging out in the area. Basically, that's part of what that was too. The right and left turn was like, I'm just staying around this area, kind of mellow. So it's variations of, underline it, it was to be slow and in that area on their routine route. And so he stayed around Deseo Falda area, and then he did some power circles, and then at 12:34 p.m. he darted toward Alicia Park, and then so he was doing power circles there that entire time. And so that's to cover up for the events where they led me down to Geronimo Alicia intersection with the K9 unit, and I have other videos of them flying in that direction. That's just because he was doing circles and then I followed him. So they're trying to probably use that one as an argument to excuse the Geronimo Alicia one. And when that was a personal interaction too, so it's nonsense. Everything's nonsense. And so then he darted toward Alicia Park at 12:34, and that's because when they started doing the 24092 dart cover-up at night for a couple weeks, we would have an event, and he would try to get on 24092's roof, and then he would try to do a dart, and it's like, here comes the dart. And I was always staggering back up from the park or somewhere, and then he would race me down the street, and he enjoyed racing me. Sometimes we got into a standoff at Falda Caladad. He would try to lead me out around the corner of Falda to Caladad so that I would get stuck, so that he could then go to 24092 and I wouldn't be close enough to him. And they'd also turn the lights off and stuff and try to avoid me and turn them down and hide behind trees. And you can see him thinking. It's like James Crystal flying behind the trees, like, I'm doing it all single-minded, but absolutely sure of himself. And then so he darted towards Alicia Park, and then he did a right curve towards Cornell to cover up for the straight dart. So now it wasn't a straight dart, it was a bit of a curve. So he went toward Cornell and Alicia, and then he did all kinds of weird turns, like a little left swoop, right swoop, big left swoop, almost turning around, then a right swoop. So it was just awkward, all random turns all over the place. And then he came back and crossed back over near Solero de Seo and 24092, the transformer fire spot, in order to make it return to that area, because he returned chasing me at 11:30 that night when they led me out with the spotlight, and other instances. And then after that, I could still hear the sounds mobbing around. And then at 1:57, there were copter sounds. And then at 2 o'clock, I saw the police copter behind 24171 across the street in the tree behind the two-story house. And he was going right to left in the copter pocket. He was coming on a diagonal from Geronimo Alicia intersection, and then he turned behind 24181, covering up for the military helicopter. And he made a left turn. And so then he went out to Geronimo Mantilla, and he made a left turn. And then he came back up into the helicopter pocket, which was another return to cover up, just from a different direction. And this time he was going left to right if you're looking across the street from me. So he also went down to Geronimo Mantilla on the line. So that covers up for the circles the entire time, and the time when they even did the spread of the large circle to encompass Geronimo Mantilla, and then back up to my street, because when I ran out of storage space. This time they just did the underlying line that somehow is allowed to account for all of that area. And so 7:54 p.m. the police helicopter was behind 24191, flying right to left if you're looking across the street, and he had white and red flashing lights. And then he was going towards Geronimo Mantilla. He did the turn for the military copter cover up, and then he also did pulse accelerations, and he did a straight line dart cover up with pulse accelerations and deceleration and tail waves.